Have you ever said something to a woman and suddenly felt the energy shift? One moment, she's laughing, leaning in, feeling connected, and the next, she's distant, quiet. Her replies slow down. The vibe just fades. You didn't offend her. You didn't touch a nerve. All you did was say something. And here's the truth most men don't realize. Words can build attraction, or they can kill it instantly. It's not always about what you do. Sometimes it's about what you say and how it makes her feel. Because in a woman's mind, the wrong words reveal insecurity, desperation, and emotional dependency. And the moment she senses that shift, her interest begins to disappear. In this video, I'm going to break down 5 things you should never tell a woman. These aren't fluffy dating tips. They're based on real-life experiences, psychological truths, and the hidden language of attraction. These 5 simple phrases might sound sweet or innocent, but they quietly sabotage the connection you've built. And number 5, that one alone has destroyed more relationships than you can imagine. So if you've ever wondered, what did I say that made her pull away? Or if you felt confused by the sudden change in her behavior after a conversation, this video is your wake-up call. Stick with me till the end, because your words matter more than you think. Let's protect your value, rebuild your confidence, and dive into the truth, word by word, line by line. You're out of my league. At first glance, this line may sound humble or even charming, but beneath the surface it quietly destroys the balance in a relationship. When you tell a woman that she's out of your league, you're essentially admitting that you don't believe you're good enough. This kills attraction, because attraction thrives on mutual respect and perceived value. Women want to be admired, yes, but not idolized in a way that turns the man into a follower instead of a partner. Let's break this down psychologically. When a woman senses that you've placed her on a pedestal, she begins to feel a psychological gap between you and her. While she may have initially felt attracted to your confidence or presence, that imbalance causes her to question your sense of self-worth. And if you don't see yourself as valuable, why should she? In real-life situations, many women start feeling uncomfortable when a man constantly praises her beauty or intelligence while undermining his own qualities. It feels flattering at first, but quickly becomes emotionally exhausting. She begins to feel responsible for maintaining your self-esteem, which isn't her role in the relationship. Moreover, this kind of statement sends the message that you're operating from a place of fear of losing her, fear of not being enough, and fear of rejection. And fear is never attractive. Women are drawn to emotional stability, not emotional desperation. A high-value man doesn't need to prove he's worthy. He knows it. He acknowledges a woman's beauty or brilliance without putting himself down. So instead of saying, "You're out of my league," say something like, "I admire how passionate you are about what you do. That kind of energy is rare." That's a compliment that keeps the power dynamic equal. Ultimately, attraction grows where there's balance, not worship. Keep your self-respect intact and remind yourself, if she's truly special, she'll be drawn to the version of you that stands tall, not one who kneels. I can't live without you. This line is often used in moments of desperation, after an argument, a breakup, or in a romantic confession. While it may seem like a powerful emotional statement, it communicates something dangerous: emotional dependency. And women don't find emotional dependency attractive. They find it suffocating. When you say, "I can't live without you," you unconsciously put all the emotional burden on her. You're not expressing love, you're expressing neediness. Love says, "I choose you," but dependency says, "I need you to survive." And no one wants to be needed in that way. It's overwhelming, unfair, and ultimately unattractive. Emotionally mature women want a partner, not a patient. They want to feel appreciated, not burdened. If you don't have a life outside of her, your own passions, hobbies, purpose, she'll sense it, and it will begin to chip away at her desire to stay connected with you. Real-life examples are everywhere. Think about relationships where one partner constantly clings to the other, afraid to be alone. At first, it might feel flattering, but eventually it becomes draining. The other person starts to pull away, not because they don't care, but because they can't breathe. You must realize that emotional independence is key to attraction. Women want to see that you have your own world, your own sense of direction, and your own happiness that doesn't depend entirely on them. That's what makes you magnetic. It's your ability to stand strong alone and still choose to walk beside her. Instead of saying, "I can't live without you," try saying, "You bring so much joy into my life, and I'm grateful for it." That communicates appreciation without making her responsible for your entire emotional well-being. In the end, true love doesn't come from desperation. It comes from choice, balance, and strength. My ex was just like that too. One of the most damaging things you can say to a woman, especially in the early stages of a relationship, is any statement that begins with "my ex." No matter your intention, bringing up your past partner, whether positively or negatively, makes the woman you're currently with feel compared, judged, or emotionally disconnected. Think about it from her perspective. When you say, "My ex used to say that too," or "You remind me of her," she feels like she's being sized up against someone she doesn't even know. That creates insecurity. And insecurity quickly turns into disinterest. Even if your intention is to highlight how different or better she is than your ex, it still plants a seed in her mind. Is he still emotionally attached? Has he really moved on? Is he looking for someone new or a familiar version of his past? Moreover, constantly talking about an ex can signal unresolved trauma. It makes you appear stuck in your history rather than focused on your present. And women want to feel like they're the center of your attention, not a stand-in for someone else. Real-life relationships often fail because of this exact issue. One partner keeps referencing their ex, whether out of hurt, nostalgia, or unresolved feelings. The new partner begins to feel invisible, like they're living in someone else's shadow. The emotional intimacy breaks down, even if everything else seems fine. Instead of drawing comparisons, focus on discovering this new person as a completely separate individual. Don't use her as a mirror to reflect your past pain or memories. Be fully present. Allow the bond to grow without the interference of ghosts. And if you must share something about your past, do it with intention and neutrality. Say, "I've learned a lot from previous experiences, and I'm glad to be in a different place now." That's respectful, mature, and shows growth, without dragging her into your past. "I'll do anything to make you stay." Attraction is built on a delicate balance of power, respect, and independence. When you tell a woman, "I'll do anything to make you stay," you shatter that balance. You may think you're expressing devotion, but what you're actually showing is desperation. Let's be clear, desperation is not attractive. It signals that you've placed her above your own dignity, self-respect, and emotional boundaries. You're not offering love, you're offering submission, and most women don't want a man who surrenders his backbone in the name of affection. Saying you'll do anything communicates that you're willing to sacrifice your identity, values, or emotional needs just to keep her around. That's not love, it's fear of abandonment. And relationships built on fear quickly become manipulative and emotionally toxic. In real-life dynamics, we see this all the time. A man begs, pleads, overcompensates. He showers her with gifts, promises, and favors, hoping she'll stay. But what he doesn't realize is that the more he chases, the more she pulls away. Not because she's cruel, but because the energy no longer feels masculine or grounded. It feels weak. Healthy love doesn't come from begging, it comes from mutual choice. You're allowed to express that you want her in your life, but not at the cost of your dignity. Set a standard. I value you, and I'm willing to work through things, but I won't lose myself in the process. That kind of quiet strength creates emotional safety. It shows her that you're not just a man who loves. You're a man who leads, who stands, and who respects himself enough to walk away if needed. So next time you feel tempted to say, "I'll do anything," pause. Ask yourself, am I expressing love or surrendering power? Because real attraction is never about chasing. It's about choosing. You complete me. On the surface, this phrase sounds poetic, something you'd expect in a Hollywood romance. But in the real world, you complete me is a sign of emotional incompleteness. And no woman wants to carry the responsibility of being your missing piece. When a man says this, he's admitting, sometimes without realizing it, that he's broken, lost, or empty without her. That may seem romantic for a moment, but it quickly becomes heavy and unattractive. Women don't want to complete a man. They want to be with a man who is already whole and who invites her into his world, not as a savior, but as a partner. Think about what it really means when someone tells you, "Without you, I'm nothing." That's not love. That's emotional pressure. That's saying, "Your job is to make me feel okay." And that is too much for anyone, especially in a relationship that's supposed to feel like a safe, loving space. In real-life relationships, these words often mark the beginning of codependency. The man leans too much. The woman feels drained. And eventually, one of them walks away. Not because there wasn't love, but because there wasn't balance. Instead of looking for someone to complete you, work on becoming a complete version of yourself. Build a life you're proud of. Cultivate purpose, strength, emotional depth. Then, when someone enters your life, they'll see a man who doesn't need saving, but who welcomes connection. Replace "you complete me" with "you make a great addition to my already fulfilling life." That's power. That's emotional maturity. That's the energy that makes a woman lean in, not run away. Attraction isn't built through desperate words, emotional oversharing, or glorifying someone while minimizing yourself. It's built through quiet confidence, emotional independence, and strong personal boundaries. These 5 things may seem harmless, but in reality, they slowly erode the foundation of desire and respect. If you've made these mistakes before, Don't beat yourself up. Just become more aware. Learn from them. Because the moment you start speaking like a man who knows his worth, everything begins to change. If this video gave you a wake-up call, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on life-changing insights. Comment below. Which of these 5 have you unknowingly said before? Let's grow, learn, and rise together.